The Republican Party has been launching new efforts to reach groups that typically go left, and their latest plan of attack, millennials. Earlier this afternoon, a group of House Republicans met with young voters from groups like the Can Kicks Back and the National Campus Leadership Council. The topic on tap, the impact of the federal deficit on America's youth. For an inside look into these discussions, we're joined right now by Representative Schock, one of the leaders of the roundtable, as well as Ashley Gremel, a participant of the House Republican Millennial Meetup. I'd like to start with you, Ashley. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're part of a young group that's very concerned about our debt level. What worries you the most?
I'm most worried about investment in our future. I'm a junior at University of North Carolina, and as I start looking to entering the job market and the real world, as some people might say, I'm worried about the steps we're not taking in investing in our future.
Representative Schock, what's really at stake for young people in this generation if we don't get this right?
Well, really their future. The future of our country, the quality of living, the standard of living. We know for a fact a few things. Number one, we're headed towards a debt crisis. We're accumulating debt at a faster rate than any period in our country's history. And if we don't do something, we're going to have a dramatically lower standard of living, a higher tax rate on the future generation of Americans. And the safety net that we've all come to know, Medicare and Social Security, will not be there for the next generation of Americans. And so for so many reasons, and to what Ashley pointed out, which is you can't invest in education, you can't invest in roads and transportation if you're running gigantic deficits on entitlement programs. So I was excited to see the great support of young people here today from groups all over America on college campuses and in the young workforce, and they were bipartisan. We had some of the Obama efforts, volunteers here today that are just as concerned about the deficit as some of the more Republican activists are as well. So it was a good cross-section demographically of the young people representing our country.
Ashley, what's your view, and what do you think most young people's view is of Washington right now?
Well, today we came to encourage Congress, not necessarily enhance, and our main message was know, show, and grow. So that basically means know the millennial perspective and take it into account when we're taking steps in Congress.
Do you think young people are frustrated at all by the sort of lack of concern, if you would, in Washington surrounding our debt issues?
I think we are. The debt is a tricky issue because it's simultaneously super important and also really complex. So I think some young people, or the majority of young people, would tune out to this issue. And so the Can Kicks Back is something I really get behind because it's all about educating and getting young people into the conversation.
Getting young people in because, of course, young people vote as well. Congressman, how do you lead in a time like this? It seems like there's so much at stake with a lot of people wanting to preserve the status quo because they have a hand in it in some way. And politicians like yourself having to go out to constituents, many of who say, look, I don't want my Medicare changed. I don't want my Social Security benefit changed. And even though their benefits wouldn't change, we're talking about future benefits, they don't like the idea of it, even if it won't affect them in their lifetime. How do you lead at a time like this when there's so much animosity towards the idea of changing entitlements?
Excellent question, and it's why today was so important. Look, for the first time in a generation, we had more young people, more voters 18 to 30 voted in the last presidential election than senior citizens. As you know, demographically in our country, senior citizens used to be the largest block of voting population. Today now, they are outnumbered by the youth of this country, 18 to 30-year-olds. We in Congress are a function of who we represent. And I believe that as more young people like Ashley and others get engaged and start educating their peers about how significant this debt crisis is and what it means to them in their future and how it jeopardizes the opportunities for them, that Republicans and Democrats who come to Congress will be more focused on actually solving it. In other words, until our constituents demand it, until more young people like those represented today demand that we deal with the debt, we're not ultimately going to finally confront it. Right now in the House, as you know, the House Republicans are the only ones that put forward a budget that actually bends the cost curve and balance. We're the only one with a Medicare reform and a Social Security reform. So if we have any hope of getting the Senate to do it and the President to do it, there's got to be a demand by our constituents back home.
Ashley, you got to get to work. Thanks so much. Good to see you both. Thank you for being here. Ashley Gremel and Congressman Schock. Ashley Gremel of the Can Kicks Back.